Hi, welcome to my project on transparency and art making. We are in my studio today. I figured out something to rig this so that my hands are free because if you haven't noticed, I have a tendency to speak with my hands. And I thought today that I would give you guys a kind of look at my studio because I'm not sure how many people actually get the chance to go into an artist studio and then be able to ask questions later or ask for clarifications later, because like with things like the art assignment or even things that like Hyperallergic does, we're kind of stuck in this static experience of the artist studio where we don't get to ask questions because the questions have already been asked. So yes, ask me questions if you have them. So I mentioned in last week's video that I'm a mixed media artist, a conceptual mixed media artist, which basically means that if it holds still, it's likely to become art with me. It also means that I utilize a lot more processes than maybe some other artists do by necessity. We all learn them when we go to art school. We learn printmaking, and we learn painting, and we learn drawing, and 3D design, and 2D design, and all those things. And a lot of them feed into everything that we all do, but, you know, a printmaker is likely to do something slightly different than, like, a ceramicist or a glass blower, and yeah, I just kind of picked these up out of my head. But as a mixed media artist, I kind of have to be able to translate into multiple different kinds of medium. I kind of take Picasso's idea to heart that we don't match our message to the medium, we match our medium to the message. And that's why I'm a mixed media artist versus being a painter or a ceramicist. Also, because I'm a mixed media artist, I have a professional requirement to be a pack rat, which is kind of fun considering I'm not necessarily the most organized person in the history of ever. But I also have a lot of books. Books are my friends, and more books, and storage. It's like pretty much the boxes are filled with pieces that are completed. And my spinning wheel. One of the things I do as a mixed media artist is that I spin my own fiber. I also dye it and card it. Thing that holds paints, things that hold brushes, completed pieces, not completed pieces, straight edges, work tables, more storage, more workspaces and old sketchbooks and inspiration things, and more junk. Step ladder, because I am ridiculously short and sometimes I just need to reach things. Because I spin and dye my own fiber, I have dry tubs and things to cook my fiber. I also do paper making, so I have a huge tub for that. I also have more storage and things for the garden and dyes and vinegar, because when you dye, excuse me, when you dye wool, you have to dye it in an acid method. Pellets for paper making, bits and bobs, and drying racks and more storage and things that need to be washed, and Kozo paper that's waiting to be processed, and buckets and a hose. I also have this brilliant drain, which makes my life a million times easier. I also have things like a Cricut loom, which I'm not very good at, and my sewing machine, and more bits and bobs, and drawing things, and more fiber things, and more bits and bobs, and my easel, which is not a great easel, but it works. Another step ladder because I'm short. My photo wall that has a completed piece and a piece in process on it. And a dress form that has an older piece on it. And behind it, my other dress form. And storage. I have lots of storage. And stuff that hangs out above my metalworking area and my woodworking area. And let me just point out, I have the best anvil in the history of ever. It's 21 pounds and 100 years old, and I refurbished it, and it was $40, and I loves it. A old lathe that needs to be rewired and refurbished, but is currently holding things up, and chop saw, and pieces in storage containers, and woodworking things, and more storage and more junk. So yeah, that is my studio. That is how big it is and what's in it, more or less. So that's my studio in short. If you want to know anything about anything in particular in here, let me know. There are comments, in the drawer underneath the video. Leave me comments, leave me questions. Find me in the other places I am on the internet and ask me questions and things there. If you have comments, that would be fantastic too. Don't be afraid to do the thing. Also, if you would like to like or subscribe or all that YouTube jazz, go ahead and do it. That would be fantastic. Courage.